I felt that we needed to concentrate on a singular theme to write about, because that would sort of rein us in. So that's why we decided to choose the theme of prayer. It seemed to be the area where we were most impacted over the last couple of years on a number of different levels. I looked at it just on a personal level and said, God, I simply cannot do this emotionally, creatively, on any level. Without you, this will not happen.
This is Soul to Soul, a weekly look at the artists who make contemporary Christian music. Each week, we take a close-up look at the careers, the lives, the music, and the ministry of today's hottest Christian artists. Here's Mike Beck.
They were brought together by the vision of Rich Mullins. Their common love of God has forged them into a cohesive unit. The Ragamuffins are our guests this week on Soul to Soul. Welcome to another edition of Soul to Soul. I'm Mike Beck. In the early 1990s, Rich Mullins gathered together a motley crew of talented artists, all with individual careers, and formed a loosely knit band that was the musical expression of Rich's powerful songs. Upon the untimely death of Rich, the band was at a crossroads. Would they separate, or would they continue to grow into a band that would follow its own identity? Touring in support of the Jesus record, it became apparent that this band would play on. They called themselves the Ragamuffins, and their second album, Prayers of a Ragamuffin, has just been released. The group is comprised of Rick Elias, Jimmy Abegg, Mark Robertson, and Aaron Smith. As I mentioned earlier, the band's first solo project was the Jesus record. Chris Coppernall sat down with Rick Elias and talked about what it was like recording the Jesus record without Rich Mullins.
What an album the Jesus record was last year when it came out, and still is today. It was one of those albums that when you played it, you had to sit and give all your attention to the listening of this with the lyrics in front of you. It was the kind of album that comes along once in a generation, really, because it was pure perfection from beginning to end. Tell me a little bit about what you guys had to go through making that album in regards to the circumstances of how you ended up recording it without Rich.
I met with Rich a week before he died out in Window Rock, and we specifically to discuss the making of the record. We were to begin it in about 10 days, 14 days, and then a week later he died. Well, after he passed away, of course, none of us immediately, we thought, well, too bad this record isn't going to get made, because we knew that he felt it was his most important work in his life, and certainly his most focused work to date. So when we were approached by Rich's family and his foundation and his new label, Myrrh, to go ahead with the record, we really counted the cost. We did it largely to raise money for his foundation, and also just to, as his friends, we felt like we'd been handed the ball, and it was up to us to make sure that Rich's most important vision artistically that he felt he'd had in his life. This record was all about Jesus. It wasn't about his feelings. It wasn't about so much anything else as the person of Christ.
Well, I can't tell you nothing. I can't tell you nothing you don't know. But it must amount to something. Must have meaning up above and below. So I pray anyway, though some days I'm not sure if you can hear me. All that stands in the way, try to break it down again today. I give all I have to give. It's not enough, but I can't live without the passion of the one who shaped it all. Created the heavens and the earth. missing from my life I wouldn't know. So I just keep on going, trying to maintain the spin control. And I'll stay anyway, though some days I confess I feel like running. If I stray, run away, I know I'd be back, so why not stay and give thanks that you forgive? I shouldn't ask, but I can't live without the passion of the one who shaped it all. Created the heavens and the earth, yet saved my soul. And how do you do this? I'm sure I'm not the only one to put you through this. Nothing but chaos. Still you are not moved. But then again, that's nothing you don't know. That's nothing you don't without the passion of the one who shaped it all. Created the heavens and the earth, yet saved my soul, my soul. Without the passion of the one who shaped it all. Created the heavens and the earth, but still save someone like me. But that's nothing you don't know.
For those of us on the outside, I think we picture the Ragamuffins as just sort of a ragtag team of people who practice kind of an unconditional love with each other. They can accept each other's faults. Did Rich pour that into you guys, or were you all drawn together when you were formed, because you were formed by Rich Mullins,
Right.
and drawn by similar interests?
We were like-minded individuals. We'd all read the Ragamuffin Gospel by Brennan Manning, independently of one another. Rich, when he decided that he was going to sort of break the mold on his career, back when he was still with the Union, this is before liturgy, he decided he just wasn't going to do it the way he'd always done it. He was going to form a group. Rich was about community. I mean, at every point in his career, he was renowned for going out with bands that were horrible. When he was a very big star. This is before I even knew him. The point behind it to him was, I don't care if you can play or not. If I like you as a person, you'll learn how to play an instrument. Fine. And I don't even care if you're any good. It was all about community to him. But I think as time went on, he realized he wanted some better musicians. He wanted a better group of musicians, but he also wanted people that were like-minded. And so he picked Jimmy and I, and ultimately Mark and Aaron came into the picture, and we became the Ragamuffins. He was not our mentor. He didn't want us to be fans. He didn't want to mentor us. He wanted a group of peers around him who would hold him accountable just as he would hold us individually. Each one of us had our own individual relationship with him and with each other. And you're absolutely right. It is about living out the principles of Christianity in a very real way.
Sometimes I get the feeling my prayers bounce right off the ceiling, and they spin around the room with me, and they never get to you. that you're listening, and I believe that you're interested, and I believe I'm forgiven for every vain repetition, every selfish ambition, every foolish petition you endure. Sometimes I get the feeling my prayers bounce right off the ceiling, and they spin around the room with me, and they never get to you. And though my head is reeling, I will still go on believing they'll fly like holy missiles and tear a hole right through the roof. And though I get that feeling, I will still go on believing. Sometimes I get the feeling my prayers bounce right off the ceiling. And though my head is reeling, I will still go on believing. Yes, sometimes
Nothing You Don't Know from The Ragamuffins. Coming up, The Ragamuffins talk about why they decided to continue on, and they'll share with us how 4 different individuals get together to write songs. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Jackie Velasquez. Stay tuned for more Soul to Soul.
Amy Grant. Wayne Watson. You know the songs, but do you know the singers? Soul to Soul the book takes you behind the scenes and into the lives of your favorite contemporary Christian artists. Read what today's most popular Christian performers have to say about life. Read about faith, trials, what it's like to be a performer, the stories behind the songs, and much more. You know their music. Now know their hearts. Soul to Soul the book. Available from Word Publishing, wherever great books are sold. Mike Beck here, and this is Soul to Soul. Thanks for listening. Chris Coppernall has been talking with Rick Elias of The Ragamuffins. Let's get back to the conversation.
Has anyone ever mentioned that maybe God had a certain plan for this record that involved the sacrifice? This is almost a crude question to ask.
No, it's been asked before.
But that because Rich wasn't there, everyone wanted to hear what this record sounded like, and to have all of the different talented people that you brought in to take part in that made this an event that perhaps was more than it would have been had Rich recorded just his next album.
I do know that I never knew anybody who wanted to go home more than Rich. He truly was a homeless man, and in every regard, because see, I have a wife and children, so does Jimmy, so does Aaron. Mark doesn't, but he's about to get married. He's engaged. You know, Rich had made the decision that he was going to, make this journey of life alone for whatever, not alone, but without a mate, and certainly without children. And he loved on our children and loved us and loved our wives. The point being that it was almost like he just would not settle down because he was always ready to go home. He just wanted to be ready to go. And he would never look at anyone. This is not to heap condemnation on anyone who has a family or has roots or has a home. He thought that was a wonderful thing. He just felt that this is what God had called him to do. So we know he's home now. I mean, he's happier than snot. I mean, his favorite song he'd ever written was Elijah, and for good reason, And when I go out, I want to go like Elijah. And he kind of did. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. And there's songs on the new record that allude to the fact that, like, Jimmy wrote a song called We'll Be Together Again, which is a beautiful, dreamlike picture of what it may be like one day when we are reunited with the ones we love.
We sat by the waters of raging white rivers, climbed through the valleys to tree-covered summits. We stood in the rain from the northern Pacific and breathed icy air on the western
Irish coastlands. We've tasted the fruit from orchards in summer, bathed in the waters near Mexican shorelines. And all that we've done was just one tiny moment, but we'll be together again. Of the Midwestern prairie, telling the tale of a tiny child's prayer. The words are like water to my thirsty heart, giving me hope when I'd run out on my faith. Beggars who ride wishes horses, living like dreamers, I won't deny. All of our dreaming was only a moment, but we'll be together again. Beside me, laughing out loud. I'm standing beside you, a laugh and a prayer. You're standing beside me, arms stretching wide, singing your freedom. We'll be together again. Life's treasures and all of life's trials are all in the moments of living each day. Tomorrow is coming, life's just a breath, and we'll be together, we'll be together, we'll be together again.
So you were asked to make the Jesus record. You were asked to come out and play some of the songs because the people wanted to hear them live and they wanted to remember Rich. And then through the course of being out there and playing as a group, you guys didn't really know that you were going to continue past that point.
No, there was no plan.
What happened out there on the road that made you guys think about keeping on and making a second album?
Well, Rich had always wanted us to be a band, and we were a Ragamuffin Band. I played on Liturgy, and then we played on Brother's Keeper, and we toured with him over 5 or 6 years, pretty extensively. But we were always kind of resistant to the idea. We were like, yeah, we're a band, but at the end of the day, you're Rich Mullins, you're a big pop star. And so we were together because of him, and he was always spurning us on to become more of a band. And his ultimate goal was, after the Jesus record, what he wanted to do was to do a praise and worship record without us. He wanted us to do our own record. And then he wanted us to tour together and we'd play on each other's things and promote both records. That was his sort of long-term goal beyond the Jesus record. And we were resistant on some levels to the idea, I guess just probably because we'd all been in bands, and being in a band is a lot of difficulty. It's a young man's game. What happened on the road after he died was and during the record, actually, is when it really came about, is we had to become a band. We finally had to look to one another for strength and inspiration and in particular out on the road as well. You know, we found ourselves, we actually developed what he had always heard in us, which was kind of our own sound and our own point of view. And here he had very graciously introduced us to his audience, and they very graciously accepted us because he had brought us to the party.
All four of the Ragamuffins were songwriters before this project, but you didn't approach it with each contributing their own individual works. You decided to meld them together, and although some of the songs are written individually by one or the other,
You're right.
there's a lot of collaboration on this. How did you guys go about writing these songs?
Well, I knew as a producer, we knew as a band that we had very diverse musical interests. So, that being the case, I didn't want to squelch anybody, but at the same time, I didn't want the record to be so wildly divergent from song to song that, as a producer, I didn't want this, that it was just disjointed, didn't have a sense of cohesion. So one thing I knew that we could do, if I couldn't prevent that musically, or from the writing standpoint musically, I felt that we needed to concentrate on a singular theme to write about, because that would sort of rein us in. And then it would be my job as a producer on a musical level to kind of establish a continuity within the context of the record on a musical level. So that's why we decided to choose the theme of prayer. It seemed to be the area where we were most impacted over the last couple of years on a number of different levels, in light of losing Rich, and in light of, believe me, there was a lot of prayer going on when we went in to make that record. I looked at it just on a personal level and said, God, I simply cannot do this emotionally, creatively, on any level without you. This will not happen.
I got a pocket full of trouble, man, and an idle mind. Though I don't want it, don't need it, I always seem to feed it. Now it's gonna be fine. I put my pride up on a shelf. This
Ragamuffins and the song Faith, Hope, and Love. Still to come, the Ragamuffins talk about the song that was inspired by St. Francis of Assisi and St. Patrick. And we'll get to hear a song co-written by the late Rich Mullins. Keep it right here.
Hello, everybody. This is Rich Mullins, and stay tuned for more Soul to Soul.
Soul to Soul is the program, and I'm your host, Mike Beck. We're talking with the Ragamuffins this week, but before we get back to the show, let's turn to Pastor Scotty Smith, who answers this week's question, which is, can we grow as Christians without regularly attending church?
I believe that it's an oxymoron or a contradiction in terms to think that we can live the Christian life without being involved in vital relationships with other brothers and sisters in Christ. We were baptized by the Holy Spirit into the body of Christ, and to be involved in community is a primary means of grace by which we groan and grow up in the Lord. So it is essential for us to be committed to quality fellowship, a local expression of the body of Christ.
I have to start with the song that opens up the album called Make Me an Instrument, and it's a song that you yourself wrote. Tell me where you were when you wrote this and why you wrote it.
I had started it while we were on the road, but then I don't write well on the road, so I need a lot of quiet time. And I mean, it's not unusual for me to sit there and stare at a blank piece of paper for 12 hours before I can write a word. It's a very arduous process. I had wanted to write a song that incorporated, if not the exact words, at least the sentiments of St. Francis's prayer, and also St. Patrick's breastplate. And I thought they would be separate songs. And as time went on, I remember a particular day I sat there and found a way to combine them. And it was, it was a wonderful experience to write that song and to see it kind of come together. To sing that song, I think the power in it is knowing that these are words that have been prayed under duress and blessing, and under great times of spiritual struggle and spiritual mountain peak experiences for thousands of years by millions of Christians. It was a wonderful experience to write that song.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there's hatred, let me sow love. And where there is injury, pardon. And where there is doubt, then faith. And where there's despair, then hope. It's in dying that I will be born, and in giving that I will receive, in loving that I will be loved. This is my faith, it is what I believe. Lord, make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Lord, I am a stranger traveling in a brutal yet wondrous land. Far from the promise of home, on a journey led by your hand, to where the lion lies down with the lamb. Father, grant that I'd never seek to be comforted as to console. Let the blood of your Son cover me, touching my spirit, seizing my soul. Lord, make me an instrument. Lord, make me an instrument. and loving that I will be loved. This is my faith, it is what I believe. Christ within me and Christ before me, Christ behind me and Christ above me, Christ beneath me, to my left and my right, Christ where I lie and where I arise, Christ in the hearts of all who think of me, Christ on the lips of all who speak of me, Christ in the eyes of all who see me. Make me your instrument, Lord. 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 Make me your instrument. Christ where I lie and where I arise.
One of the standout cuts from Prayers of a Ragamuffin is the song My Heart Already Knows, which was written with Mark Robertson, yourself, and Rich Mullins. Tell us about this song.
Well, Mark had started that song with Rich, and the funny thing is there was no demo recording of it, there was nothing, and I'm not sure if Mark started writing that song with Rich for Mark's projects or for Rich's, or if they were just writing just to pass the time. He didn't have any chords, he couldn't remember the chords, he didn't have all the lyrics, he had some of them, and he only could really remember the chorus melody that Rich sang, and he remembered how Rich sang it. And he could remember some of the verse, so when he told me about it and he sang me this chorus, I was floored by it. And so we just sort of sat there, and I just kind of helped complete the song. You know, I kind of put chords to it and kind of brought it in here and there, and, you know, did my producer thing. But, you know, largely that was a Mark Rich co-write, and it's a wonderful little, you know, souvenir to have on this record. That's a classic Rich Mullins chorus, you know, just discussing the dichotomy of your heart and mind, and, you know, and Rich could tackle these subjects in ways that a lesser writer would have done. Probably it would have sounded foolish or silly, but he had a way to do it. He had a way of addressing issues like this in such a profound way.
With your hand you wrote upon my heart when my head has yet to believe, and with your light you shine a path that my eyes can barely see. Though it's right in front of me, and with your mercy you have closed the book, my guilty conscience opens up to read. And though your footprints mark the trail that I stray from constantly, though it's right in front of me,
the child come alive and drive away these ghosts. You know my head ain't even close to what my heart already knows. All my life I've tried to find it, searching for a reason and a rhyme. Though you've always led the way, I will still get lost sometimes. How could I be so blind? How could I be so blind? And though my father, he's the richest king, I sit alone within my poverty. And though your light still shines a path that my eyes can barely see, I know it's right in front of me. Yeah, it's right in front of me. You know it's right in front of me. But if I ever learn what my heart already knows, and not feel the hurt that I wear on my sleeve, but the laughter that burns inside my soul, let the child come alive and drive away these ghosts. You know my head ain't even close to what my heart already knows. Lord, I'm asking for this sign, light my heart up with my mind. If I ever learn what my heart already knows, and not feel the hurt that I wear on my sleeve, but the laughter that burns inside my soul, let the child come alive and drive away these ghosts. You know my head ain't even close to what my heart already. If I ever learn what my heart already knows, and not feel the hurt that I wear on my sleeve, but the laughter that burns inside my soul, let the child come alive and drive away these ghosts. You know my head ain't even close to what my heart already knows.
My Heart Already Knows, a song co-written by Rick Elias, Mark Robertson, and Rich Mullins, and recorded by the Ragamuffins. Don't go away. Soul to Soul will be right back.
Hi, this is Rick Elias of A Ragamuffin Band, and you're listening to Soul to Soul.
Amy Grant, Wayne Watson. You know the songs, but do you know the singers? Soul to Soul, the book, takes you behind the scenes and into the lives of your favorite contemporary Christian artists. Read what today's most popular Christian performers have to say about life. Read about faith, trials, what it's like to be a performer, the stories behind the songs, and much more. You know their music. Now know their hearts. Soul to Soul, the book, available from Word Publishing, wherever great books are sold. Thanks for tuning in this week as we've spent some time with the Ragamuffins. Join us next week as we talk with Andy Denton. Until then, for all of us here at Soul to Soul, I'm Mike Beck saying, have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Soul, a close-up look at the artists who make contemporary Christian music. If you have a question for an artist or would like a copy of this week's interview, you can write us at Soul, P.O. Box 2543, Brentwood, Tennessee 37024. We'd love to use your question on the air. And be sure to visit our interactive website at s2sradio.com, where the artists speak to you. Soul is a production of Music Square West. Executive producer Chris Coppernall. Soul is written, edited, and produced by Mike Beck for Pro Audio Incorporated. Additional writing, Jack Fussell. Production assistant, Troy Smith. Soul reminds you that Jesus Christ is Lord.
My weaknesses, revealing all lies. Finish the work you begun. For I am undone. Help thou my unbelief, lest I fall away. Steal away, help thou my unbelief, or cast me away. For the whirlwind will reap the chaff from the wheat. Help thou my unbelief. Father, you held me as I crossed the wasteland, conquering the mountains, the rivers and the lowlands, but you would not conquer me. Abba, you touched me, you heard all my cries. I sat at your table, I lay by your side. You're this Thomas, no Judas, it's you I denied. Still